right here where the road closed, this disappointed me. They put this, it used to be, now you see, the only reason that we were down this road is my mother was alive at that time. And she was a real extrovert, real big extroverted person, and wanted to go on a truck ride, go out, do something every day. She didn't want to just stay in the cabin. Whereas I'm totally happy staying in the cabin. You know, I can stay in the cabin I will stay in it for like a whole week and not see another human being, goodness. Just read books and stuff. Not my mother. And so in a way I have her to thank, because if mother had not, you know, been the way she is, we would have never been on this road. Wow. In fact, I discovered far more I've been coming to these mountains since I was 4. And my aunt and uncle had a cabin, and we'd come up to there. Of course, when I was a child, that was in Cloudcroft Village. Of course, mother didn't drive us, you know, anywhere, because we were little kids playing, you know, playing around there. And then my late husband and I got a cabin in the 80s, and my husband was like me, so you know, we liked to hang around the cabin and stuff. Well, I discovered more of these mountains after my mother got elderly and I'm taking care of her. You know, I hadn't been around her much for years, decades. And suddenly I'm discovering, oh my gosh, she's a real extrovert. All she wants to do is go out. So I wound up exploring all over here because, you know, the few little places I knew were just, you know, the same old, same old. Yeah. And, you know,
I do want to stay away from the main campgrounds, you know, because you have that people pollution, you know. So.
And so at any rate, without saying where we are.
But it's secret.
Yeah. But, you know, I had seen that mile marker thing. And you know, and it's just like all other places. And I'd come down here. No, we had been down here because there's a really nice road that goes all around there. Goes on forever and ever and ever. It's fun to go down. And I will go down it now looking for footprints and stuff. And hoping, because, you know, they don't just stay in one place, obviously. We've been down here plenty of times. There's a beautiful lookout we're going to see. And I was bringing mother down to that lookout to have a little picnic. And out of the blue, this thing starts running down fast as lightning. And we'll get to that in a minute. Anyway, after that happened, every day that we were up here for the rest of that season, this was in 2012, I came back here. Now suddenly I want to...
You're interested now?
You know,
well, that makes you brave too.
All my mother wanted to do was, honey, we need to tell the Forest Service. Don't you think they need to know? And I'd say, I'm not walking in there telling them
what you saw.
You know, that I saw Bigfoot. They're going to think I'm nuts. And she said, honey, they need to know. And I said, no, I'm not going to do it. But let's see if we see it again. Well, I could drive down here for the rest of 2012, 2013, 2014, 2015, I was not here. Mother was very, very sick and in the hospital, and then she passed. 2016, I came up to my cabin for one day, and I just walked out because I just didn't have the feeling that I wanted to be. I wanted to be anywhere at the cabin. I just felt my mother's absence so strongly. And interestingly enough, I had begun re-grieving my husband because now I wasn't burdened with tending to her. So all this thoughts about my husband. So I just came for one day and left. So I wasn't up here 2016. 2017 I came up. And I came down here and there was that tree. See it? And this gate shut.
Right in the front, huh?
So I couldn't drive it anymore. So instead I walked it. And the other road that's real close by, I would drive. And have not seen it again at all. I was hoping, my hope was that in driving it, it would just happen again. It would just happen to be running across, you know,
be in the area.
Here. I just thought, oh, that's going to happen again. But all these years it hasn't. Come on, buddy. You smelling fun stuff. We have to go slowly for him, too. He's elderly.
Good.
Come on, buddy. But,
so all this is overgrown now.
Yeah, it's quite overgrown. Because it used to be a perfectly fine first road to drive.
Wow.
Yeah,
you know that what they say is that Sasquatch will put a tree over like that on purpose.
Oh, really?
To stop you from coming in.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
I didn't know that.
It's actually quite common for people to speculate that that happens on their trails.
Wow. Now, somebody's cut these trees, see?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
The film that you saw where I put it, you know, and I had not told anyone. My mother and I had seen it, but I hadn't told anyone else. But after I found a friend dead in her home in November of last year, just unexpected, and I found her dead, that, are these extra trees? Huh. There had been one that had gone straight across, but
somebody maybe, that doesn't look cut.
Came to get the wood.
That doesn't look.
No, it's not.
It's not.
This is just more that's
fallen.
But people come and get the wood, you know,
yeah.
It's that season. And
quite the drop off there.
Yes, it is. Quite. And you know, we're miles from anybody.
Yeah, I like that.
We are miles from anyone. But at any rate, I haven't seen it again, and I will come and walk this. You know, some people act like, oh, you need to be careful. You know, the first time I made it public was when I uploaded the film I took for Buddy and I are walking this, and I explained. And the only reason I did that was because I thought, I'm not taking this to the grave. I find my friend dead in her house, unexpected death, just 4 years older than I am. And I thought, I'm not taking this to the grave. Same thing could happen to me. And so that's when I made it public, and I was really surprised. Some of these people like, be careful, watch out, blah, blah.
Yeah.
I realize I've been looking since 2012 to see them again, and I haven't seen them again. They just didn't know. But I'm not going to take it to the grave.
Yeah.
You know, the older you get, the less you... I never really cared too much. Buddy! Oh, there he is. He always goes back to that
one little spot.
That spot on that tree. There's some good smells there, huh? Oh, boy. But at any rate... I was watching the, you know, that prison escapee in
yes.
in Pennsylvania.
Yeah.
And now here we are. Here's the spot. You can still see a part.
This is the exact spot that he came down?
Yes.
Wow. I kind of got a little shiver there.
Here it is.
And it came straight down.
And straight down. And
so tell me.
And was he good looking?
Really? That's what I was going to ask you. Tell me what he looked like. What was his...
The first thing I need to tell you is we're driving, because, you know, there weren't those trees. It was all open. And I'm not expecting to see anything. And I had never believed in this nonsense anyway, as far as I was concerned.
Right.
This is nonsense, you know. But my eyes caught, out of the corner of the eye, what I thought was a man running. Because it's the shape of a man.
Right.
But very, very big. And I guess I'll turn this on. Anyway.
Yeah, make it for your channel too. I should probably do a promo real quick.
Oh no, that's not
too.
Me. Not at all. Not at all. But at any rate, this, you know, out of the corner of my eye, right, because, you know, I thought, what's that man? And before I hadn't even said it out loud. I was just thinking it. Yeah. And what I would have completed the thought was, what's that man doing running so fast down the hill? Right. You know, that's the had I completed my thought. But, you know, running down like that. And then, of course, when I turned to look at it, I realized that's not a man. And it's running fast as lightning. I didn't think anything that big could run that fast. And runs down this way, and then runs across this way. Yeah. And then comes down here, runs down here. And when I saw it and realized that's not a man, I gunned the truck. and I'm gunning the truck to get up here. He never looks our way, nothing.
Nothing.
Running across that way, and boy, was he good looking. As far as the back, as far as the shape. If that had been a human male, I mean, really,
muscular.
but let me tell you, the back, the thing is, what's weird is I couldn't see the head as he's crossing this way because his head is forward.
Forward, okay.
And instead, the back, the buttocks, the thighs, the calves, very muscular, very well built. I mean, good looking. If that had been a human male without all that hair,
yeah,
he would have been a sight to behold. Really good looking. And only after I saw it did I realize how wrong I was to think that all these pitiful people, which is what I thought. I mean, really, this is what I thought.
Yeah.
I thought, oh, these pitiful people, thinking they saw some hairy,
guy,
man, Bigfoot up in the forest. Those poor things. They can't tell the difference between a bear and a, anything else. Because the only thing in common is the brown hair. And this thing had medium brown hair.
Medium brown. Okay.
Not dark brown or anything. And it also had hair about this long, I guess that's 2 inches maybe.
2 inch, okay.
Not so much hair that you can't see all the muscular. Sure.
So it wasn't like a fur, it was hair.
Hair, yes. And it doesn't look anything like a bear. It can't even get close to thinking it's a bear. If you were to mistake it for anything, you would think that's a man. A man, but not a man, because, I mean, if you'd have to be really far away to think it's a man. Real far away. And you'd also have to think it's like like football players with all their gear on. I mean, and really, really tall. But anyway, you would have to think that before you would think it was a bear. Bears don't look anything like this. And that's something you need to know. Bears don't look anything like this. And all these years, I had just thought, these poor pitiful people, they don't know what a bear looks like. They see a bear, these city slickers, they go into the forest and they think, ooh, we see must be a Bigfoot. I just thought they were idiots. And
so do you think it saw you at all, or maybe it heard you and it got spooked and just came down?
No, when I saw it, it was already running fast as lightning.
Already.
So what I thought was that, because there's a highway.
Okay.
And so what I thought is that it was running, it was probably being chased by something and was running across the highway and then running down this way to get away from whatever's chasing it. That's what I thought. But when I got in the truck and got up here, I jumped out because I wanted to keep watching it running down the hill, but I couldn't see it. It was gone.
What time was it at?
It was in I couldn't tell you exact time, but it was in the late afternoon, early evening.
Okay.
It would have been before dinner time. So it would have been before 7. Before 7. Late afternoon, early evening. It wasn't
before complete dusk. Before dusk.
Yeah, before dusk.
Would you ever come out here at night?
No.
No.
No, I think that's very unwise to go out in the forest at night. I never go out in the forest at night, and because of all the other creatures around.
Yeah.
We have cougars. Yeah. Right now we're in October, and bears are fattening up.
I know. I ran into a mom and 3 cubs up in Ruidoso last week. So.
Did you?
Yeah.
Wow.
But I mean,
I saw that on your.
It was right outside our patio, and there had been signs all over. But I was like,
I'm gonna shut this off for a second.
Yeah.
Because otherwise, I lose my my battery. My battery runs out. We'll be coming in a minute, buddy. But at any rate, it was not being chased, I don't think, because unless whatever was chasing it decided to stop because it saw our truck and saw me gun up and jump out. Yeah. But I don't think it was chased because, it was running so... But
I think something that heavy, that is quite the angle there. I think its whole mass would have taken it fast down here like that. If he had... You really have to try to not go, fast down that because it is so steep. That is so steep. Yes. So if you've got something that's, I don't know, 600 pounds, 700 pounds coming down that, it's gonna be going fast. Yeah. And at that time I was driving my Dodge Ram 1500 4x4 truck, and I had a little cushion that I would sit on
And that I know that cushion that I sat on made me 5'8". I was like that because I stand at 5'7".
Okay.
And so that made me an inch taller. So it was like walking when I would drive that. I just loved that truck. But this thing was about 2 feet taller than it. So if I'm standing, you know, considering to my vision, it was 5'8", so 2 feet taller, could be 7'8". 7.5 feet. I mean, it wasn't anything that was 10 feet, 11 feet. These stories you hear.
Yeah.
No,
I always don't think they're that tall, but
it wasn't that tall. It was a couple of feet taller than my vision.
Okay.
And as I said, my mother said, "Well, honey, don't you think we should tell the Forest Service?" I said, "No," but I came back every day until the season ended, you know, and we went back to El Paso because that's where, where that was my home and where we lived. You know, I came back every day just hoping that I would see it running down or running up or something, but haven't.
Nothing.
And then since they closed off the access to here after those trees fell, or
now you have to walk all the way.
Now I walk it, and I still haven't seen it. And as I was saying, do you want to keep walking?
Yeah,
or do
we
you
can.
Want...
We can keep going.
You know that guy? I guess I'll turn this on for this. So I can then put them together. But you know that man, that escaped convict in Pennsylvania?
Yeah.
Turned out he was escaped for 2 full weeks before they caught him. And they knew he was in a 1 mile area, and they had 400 police officers. They had drones, helicopters, heat-seeking equipment, everything, and dogs trained. And that guy managed to elude them.
Yeah, right.
For 2 solid weeks. And I was watching that, and I started thinking, well, gosh, no wonder I haven't seen it again. If these things don't want to be seen, and it was running for, you know, then no wonder.
Yeah.
So I don't feel so badly anymore. But what I think it will be the approach to take, I still like walking this, but I think the better approach to take is to try to bring them to you.
Many think that.
Draw them out.
Many think that.
I never used to think that at all. But now I'm thinking maybe that's the thing to do. Try to see if they can come. Because it looked human enough. It was running so fast, and I was so shocked. I can't tell you how shocked I was. Because I didn't believe it existed.
Yeah.
You see, I didn't believe that. And to actually see it floored me. And I started thinking, anthropologists, you know, who study this kind of thing.
Right.
Well, they all said, the main thing from seeing it for me was trying to figure out why I had disbelieved any stories about it. I mean, some people seem like they're drunk on drugs, or on the side of the tracks, probably Bubba's out getting drunk, shooting off their guns. Whoa, we say Bigfoot. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what I figured for a lot of them. But I'd also read stories every now and then of obviously salt of the earth people of integrity who said they saw it, including middle-aged women, you know, look like housewives.
Yeah, there's more people out there that seem really trustworthy, and they can't all be hoaxing. Yeah, you know, not all of them.
You know, but I remember one in particular. There was this middle-aged looking housewife who was driving on a highway somewhere up in the northwest of the United States, and she described what she saw. And I could tell she was telling the truth as far as what she thought. Yeah. But I didn't believe her either. I thought, well, bless her heart, she obviously must have seen, you know, some kind of bear. Yeah, I just, and I really had to examine myself. Why had I not believed these people? Why had I been so dismissive? And I really had to self-reflect, and it took me a while to figure it out. And then I figured it out. Well, you know, I had a great deal of trust, and what the experts say, and they said that this didn't exist.
Right.
So then I started looking at anthropologists. Did they deserve that kind of faith that I had, that they knew what they were talking about, and I discover all this horror about them. They were mainly a bunch of racist gits who came up with these screwball things like, let's measure your head and your face and
your arm length versus your legs,
and to see if you're all right. And they were quite racist. They had the white Caucasian Anglo-Saxon Tudor type of person as the human, and then you go on down the different races till you get to the ape.
Right.
And I thought, they don't know jack about what they're talking about. And it's not just a joke. Their ideas led to the Holocaust, led to so many people being brought over from these other countries that they went and invaded. Right. And they bring them over and turn them and put them in human zoos. And I put up a playlist, a couple of weeks ago, of the things that I like looking at as far as this creature is concerned. And I do have lots there about the human zoos. Anthropologists don't do that anymore, but they maintain the arrogance of their profession by refusing to come out and even look, with the exception of, there's some guy in Idaho, a professor, what's his name, Jeff Meldrum.
Jeff Meldrum, yes, out of Idaho.
Yeah, and then there's a man.
There's some elk.
Yeah, elk dirty. Smart pills.
Now, see, that's what
Smart pills.
Yeah, I call elk. I'll have to show you a picture of some poop I found.
Okay, yeah.
And I thought it was a big elk, but maybe it was a bear.
Yeah,
but it looked grass. It didn't look like berry.
I'll bring her up here to see the view, so she could see it all. And she liked that because, you know, she's quite elderly. She was in remission from cancer, and, you know, if she wants to go on a truck ride every day, okay, whatever. But it's beautiful views up here, though. Of course, you know, as we noted earlier, the air pollution.
A lot of pollution down in Alamogordo.
It's not going to look so great. Yeah, Buddy knows where we're going.
He's like, are you coming? Now, I want to make note of what we're walking on here, folks. This is not your normal hike tennis shoe type wear.
No.
You really need to have sturdy boots.
Like what you've got on, or like
what I
put on?
Because you feel the rocks. Yesterday, these are so heavy. And
good for you. You got a real walking stick. I
yeah.
These old pieces of wood.
Well, I went on the OSHA trail yesterday with my hiking shoes, okay? And it wasn't enough.
Right.
I should have wore these boots.
Well, I'm glad you've got them on now.
Yeah. I told my daughter, I go, nope, I made that mistake once. These hills are rocky.
But at any rate, Dr. Christopher Dyer, D-Y-E-R, Dreyer, D-R-Y-E-R, I'm sorry, I can't remember his last name. He's an anthropologist in New Mexico at University of New Mexico Gallup campus.
This is a perfect campsite.
Yes, it is.
Dang, look at that.
Perfect. And he had gone on an expedition out after the Navajo had told him about things. I only discovered this, of course, after I saw the forest person myself. And
yeah,
I mean, once you see it, you can't unsee it.
That's what they say.
You can't unsee it. And so for that reason, I know for a fact they exist, but how many, what they're like, I mean, there's Jesus, who likes to be called Jesus, not Jesus. Jesus, who
Payan, yeah.
Payan. He lives down in the Lulus area, down at the base of the mountain.
Oh, okay.
And
yeah, I've seen him post a lot.
Yeah, I found when I started searching for anyone who had seen this creature up here. in the Sacramento Mountains. Because at that time, I'd never heard of anyone seeing it up here. The stories I had heard were, you know, things in magazines or stories, you know, they were always someplace else, usually the Northwest. And I came across, I didn't find anything for years, and then I came across his YouTube channel where he's exploring Tularosa Creek, Tule Creek.
Folks, we're talking about, I always say Jesus. Yeah. It's Jesus Payan. He used to be on Breaking Bad. Now he has a channel called Breaking Bigfoot.
Yes.
And he does some of his searching up here.
Yeah, that could be cattle.
Yeah, it looks like it.
Looks like cattle.
Looks like a patty.
But he, I saw his video, and you just mentioned a TV show, Breaking Bad. You see, I shut the TV off in 2008, because that's when Juarez started going nuts.
Yeah.
And every time I'd walk out the door, my mother would be saying, honey, you be careful. And I said, Mother, this is El Paso. We're not having murders and killings and kidnappings here. Yeah. but she would not stick to the food channel and stuff like this. She would watch all the news, and it was getting so bad. Of course, back in those days when the cabin was just a cabin, I didn't have a TV there. So we would come up, and I decided, you know what, to lessen her anxiety, when we go back, and I'd always shut the TV off down in El Paso.
Yeah.
And then have them restart it up. Well, this time I just shut off and kept it shut off. And I said, you can watch movies, DVDs, you know, all this other stuff. But yeah, and her anxiety did go down a whole lot. And I didn't have to have her worrying that I'm going to be cut up and sliced and all that stuff like what was going on in Juarez. So I was not familiar with not Breaking Bigfoot. What did you say it's called?
Breaking Bad.
Breaking Bad.
Yeah, it was filmed up there in Albuquerque and up that area. Yeah.
I wasn't familiar with any of that. I just saw him on his channel, and then so I watched that and thought, well, that's somebody else has seen him up here. How about that? You know, so I didn't feel like
I watched him for a little bit. He doesn't. Does believe in a lot of the paranormal side of Bigfoot.
Oh, really? I don't.
And I don't. So that's why I never got in touch with him. No offense, Jesus. Okay, I would love to collab and come out hiking with you someday. But you know, until it happens to me, no portals, no interdimensional. It's a flesh and blood to me at this point.
Well, yes. But I jumped out thinking I would see him continuing to run down the hill, and I didn't. I concluded it was one of two things. Either he ran, because he was running fast. He ran so fast, he ran out of sight. Yeah. And you saw all that.
Yeah.
Those trees and stuff.
Yeah.
Or he ran so fast, and then he stopped and hid behind something. And that's why I didn't see him.
Yeah.
Not some friggin' portal. I don't want to hear that BS.
Yes! I love you already, you see.
I'm just going to listen to it. Now, looky here. Look at all these berry bushes.
Yes.
Of course, this isn't the season for them now.
They're done.
But they're done.
Yeah. But all this is berry? What kind is this?
All this is berry. It's just some sort of blue, blackish looking berry.
Yeah, they're all empty. Everything's been eaten.
They're all eaten now, but these berries were here back then too. See cattle come up here.
Yep.
And well, we get wind and stuff. That looks nice.
Yeah. Oh yeah. It looks like it's pretty old.
Dead and
yeah.
And then finally toppled over.
Oh, when I went up there to Washington, we had a tree fall right when we went to bed.
Oh, really?
Boom! Yeah, and we're like, does a tree make noise in the woods? Heck yeah, it does.
Yes, it does.
Yeah.
This past, well, you know, there's a lot of wind in the spring, and up here we get all the wind too, just not the sandstorm part of it. But we get the wind, and we had one really bad windstorm this past spring. Well, it wasn't even spring yet. I think it was February.
Yeah.
February, and it was dark. I couldn't look out and see, but I could hear crash, crash, crash. I could hear trees falling all over the place, and of course the electric was out for 51 hours, and
oh my goodness.
And my only neighbor, who's year-round, he was blocked in from trees across the road on both sides. And you know, he could walk over the trees, and I took him into town and stuff. And long story short, one tree had hit a cabin, and the other trees were just all over the place. And they, you know, crews come out and get rid of them and stuff. Yeah, they'll fall in the wind. Oh, look, see that dead tree up there, the hole at the bottom? Somebody lives in there. I'll bet they have a little. Now, probably raccoons make a home out of that.
Ooh, we were chasing skunks away from the camp last night.
Were you?
All night long.
Oh, gosh.
Yeah. But as soon as we hit them with the light, they would kind of scamper off.
They'd scamper off, yeah. They won't spray unless they're frightened.
Yeah.
Boy, I came across a skunk one time. It was my next door neighbors, my previous ones, not the ones that are there now.
Yeah.
But the previous ones, they weren't at their cabin, and I happened to be up at my cabin. I wasn't living there year-round yet. And there was my dogs had run over to look down a hole, so I went to see what they're looking at, and it was a skunk at the bottom, so I put them inside, and then I got a towel, and I was just scared to death that skunk was going to spray
get
me.
Yeah. I was telling, because I got signal up there on a silver camp.
Did you?
Yes.
Hey.
So I was telling people, oh my God, a lot of skunks. I don't know if I'm going to go on a night hike tonight because, number one, too many people. Number two, no asthma medication.
Yeah. And
it was cold.
No, that's not a hollow tree after all.
Oh, it's just right a little bit.
Yeah, it may be hollow on the other side though. Here, we can come look at this view too if you want to. I'll come this way. But just watch your feet. Nice view over here. But at any rate, Dr. Christopher Dyer, sorry I don't know his last name. I saw on Jesus' channel of where that man had gone with some Navajo to go look at areas where they said they had seen these horse people. And I thought, good for him, because he's a PhD anthropologist.
Lightning.
So not all anthropologists are arrogant pricks these days. But most
Ooh, those have prickers.
Most of these anthropologists are arrogant pricks because they won't even entertain the possibility, and they won't go out and look. They ought to be getting grants to then go try to find it. Guess what happened to this poor Christopher Dyer guy? I then started looking him up to find out more about him.
Yeah.
Turned out some people complained, and then the New Mexico state legislature passed a law that you to not fund any kind of expeditions from universities to go look for this creature. Now that's
my goodness.
That's what happened, and it's just in recent years.
Well, that's a good topic for me to cover on one of my shows.
Yes.
I'll have to look into that.
Infuriating because
when did that happen?
Oh, I don't remember, but just in recent years. I couldn't tell you exactly. Oh, we can't see it right now. Let's see. Way over there is behind the big tree. If you come stand where I am, you'll see a part.
There's a lot of wear right here between these two.
Yeah, there is.
See that? Boom, boom.
There is.
Let me take a quick look though.
Hey, you got a good eye. See, I don't. Just walk around.
This substrate's horrible for prints. I don't see.
You know, the best I've found for finding footprints is after a rain.
Yeah.
And the soil is nice and dry. But anyway, Mount Baldy, Sierra Blanca is over in that direction.
Oh, just straight through there?
Yeah, but can you see it a little bit?
Just a little bit.
Yeah, you can see just a little.
Let me
that we're looking
zoom in. Right through the, oh yeah, I got it. I got it right through there. Yep.
But you see what a beautiful spot this is.
Oh man,
it's very remote.
Beautiful, you see.
There aren't any people around.
And I'm doing pretty good today. I think it may have been a little bit of that elevation sickness you were saying.
Yes.
Because I feel pretty good today.
Sickness is no joke, and it can happen.
Something burrowed in there.
People can.
This is a
become
trail.
Very, very ill. And you see how you can go down there. There's the
endless
pathway is that path that we were on. To walk.
Yeah.
I have walked it before. What I used to do is I'd bring my mother up, put her perched where she could see out in the truck. We'd have our picnic and whatnot, and then I would go hike that road while she's perched. Of course, this was before I saw the the forest person. After I saw the forest person, when I would come out here with Mother, you know, I'd stay in the truck with her because I was thinking we would see it running by again, and I didn't want to leave her alone in the truck. After I realized they were out here, I hadn't believed it. Oh look, here's an example of footprints, but it's not a forest person. See, this is like elk or deer or something. A little soft soil.
Mm-hmm.
You see, then you've got all that there. The only thing you've got is the road, and so all I can think of is that it was running fast because it was going to get across the road.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because you wouldn't have had your lights on yet.
No, I didn't have my lights on. It
would have been purely because he heard you come in and he didn't know where. Because it's actually sometimes
well, maybe he heard me, but I doubt it. Here's what I'm thinking. Because it was running so fast coming down that hill, it had to have been, I assume, running that fast to run across that highway. So I'm guessing that it wants to get across the highway, so therefore it's gonna, you know,
go fast and just get all the way
across the highway.
And it didn't stop.
And it didn't stop because then it probably, as it's coming down, heard me, unless it has dog hearing and can it could hear me earlier.
You ever hear anything out here?
No, I haven't heard anything out here. Now, I was out here with Buddy one time when we definitely heard an animal, but if you mean like hearing whoops or grunts out here, no.
Yeah.
But we heard an animal, didn't see it, heard it though. It was, you could hear it moving through the forest, didn't so many yards, but what it was, I don't know. Buddy didn't bark. Buddy normally barks at deer and elk and cows. He normally always barks at deer, elk, and cows.
That was interesting, but I don't know.
Buddy didn't bark at this. It was big, but I walked to the edge to try to see what it was, but I couldn't see anything. And Buddy was a little bit, chased himself a little bit, a few yards away from me to try to see what it was.
Yeah.
And if he saw it, he didn't bark and stuff, so I don't think he saw it. That would have been down here. I should have thought to bring a bag to pick up some pine cones. That'd be great coming.
Oh. Down in the valley.
Tell it was large.
Yeah.
Was it a forest person? I don't know. I would assume Buddy would bark at a forest person.
Right.
And he wasn't barking, but he heard it and he just trotted over a few yards away from me.
Check it out.
His vantage point.
Yeah.
And he was watching it far longer than I was. I was, you know, watching for it, but didn't see it. And then when I walking on, I mean, then I realized, oh, Buddy's still staring at, you know, whatever, because he can hear so much better than I can. But I never saw what it was. I've never heard any whoops or anything out here. Just saw the forest person.
Just saw it.
And because I saw it, I know for a fact it exists. And it's ridiculous that the New Mexico state legislature passed a law, or, you know, something saying that they can't do any research on this. They made that professor out to be a jerk because acting like, oh, he's wasted our money and all this sort of thing. They were just, you know, this was some, you know, looking at...
That pushes the ball backwards. It definitely pushes the ball backwards.
Exactly. So when I saw that that was the case, and then I started looking up more myself, I realized some of these, it's going to take, I mean, now, that man is tenured.
Mm-hmm.
And so is the anthropologist Jeff Moldrum.
Yeah.
He's also tenured. When they're tenured, you know they can't get fired.
Right.
And it's next to impossible to fire them. And, but if they, you know, those are the only two I know of. Maybe there's more?
There's a few more. Todd Disatel out of New York. I don't think he's in New York now, but he's a DNA geneticist that's willing to test samples.
Okay, well.
You have Dorby Orcutt, who's right now taking samples for his experiment, and he is out of Georgia. Is he
also a PhD?
Or South Carolina? I don't know.
Tenured PhD?
Yes.
Oh, okay, good. I'm glad to know there's a few
So
more.
there's a few, you know.
They're the smart ones. They're the smart ones because it would... Obviously, in New Mexico, there's not going to be a grant to any kind of anthropologist to go
to do this for
this because of some.
It's
really...
going to be citizen scientists, weekend warriors. It's going to be us if anything ever happens.
Well, I really want anthropologists to get involved in this because here's the thing: they write if they identify it and can say yes for sure, then they get getting a grant to do that. Then they would write papers that would be published in a peer-reviewed journal.
There's
then
a
you would get
great
actual people trying to actually find it. The difficulty is, look how big and vast this area is.
Yeah, it's really big.
But when I was watching that, Pennsylvania convict able to hide from 400 officers and whatnot, I really concluded that it's luck if you happen to see one. And I stopped feeling so badly that all these years I haven't seen it again. You know, and I realized, gosh, if the experts can't find somebody, because this forced person obviously doesn't want to be found. So here's the deal: it's going to have to take bringing them in. And have them curious to get them to come around,
right? And
it will be difficult once it's proven, and it will be proven. It will be proven. I have no doubt about that because our population is so big.
It's growing.
It's 3 times as large. In 67 years, the human population has tripled. So there's far more people who live up here, far more people who are in the forest, far more people all over the place. They're bound to be able to prove it at some point or another. But then you have the issue of anthropologists actually studying them and learning about them. They're going to have to do it like, see the path behind you? That way?
Yes.
See, that's a good walking path.
Okay.
It used to be you could drive it too. But, but if you drove it I drove Mother and I down this one time. And then at some point it got narrower and narrower.
How do you turn
and then
around?
I stopped, so I could still turn around.
Yeah.
And
I don't know if I could turn around that big ass truck. No way.
But you get to a point where you realize you got to stop and go back. But that path is a big path coming along here.
Does it wind down or up?
I beg your pardon?
Does it wind down?
Winds down
or goes up?
Winds down.
Okay.
Heads down. And I used to, this is before I saw that forest person. After I saw it, I wouldn't leave Mother alone in the truck.
Yeah.
But before, I'd leave Mother perched in her spot, and then I'd go hike this because it's a real nice path to hike, especially when this was a forest road where you had the 2 ruts for tires.
Yeah.
Because ATVs can, of course,
let's come up here now.
The narrower and narrower it gets, well, it didn't get so narrow that ATVs couldn't use it.
Right. There's some wire.
So ATVs would.
Yeah, these rocks could damage your tires. They're sharp. Look at them.
Yeah.
They're sharp.
You have to avoid some of that, but this is just a beautiful area. And look to your left at the views that you see.
Yeah. Well, I hope you allow me to come back up here whenever I get a chance.
Oh, yes, of course. We can always go hiking together.
Oh, I'd love that.
It is some kind of other human species. Not Homo sapien, which is ours. It's some other kind.
Yeah, somewhere they have their own part of that ladder.
And it's going to take anthropologists to get down to the bottom of it. But of course, look at that. Most of them don't want to. We can go as slowly as needed because we're going up.
Yeah, I know. I looked at that over there and I go, oh, maybe not until I have an inhaler.
Yeah, because once you get altitude sick, I mean, it can come on fast and it becomes very serious. If you're not used to the altitude, that's just how it is.
Well, I'm from Flagstaff, Arizona, and that's
that's up high.
That's 7,000.
Yeah, that's like at Ruidoso.
But I've been out for 30, 40 years already.
Right, so you haven't been around it.
Yeah. And when I went to Washington, that was 1,000 feet.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because we were at the base of the mountain.
Boy, that's practically sea level.
So I was like walking all over.
Yeah. You've got all this energy.
So I thought, oh, I'm not going to have any problem, you know?
Well, of course.
I get up here and I almost died.
Yeah, well, I hate to say it, but my previous next door neighbors, so on my other side, I like the ones that are there now. They're wonderful. And they were friends with the previous next door neighbors.
Yeah.
Who are not there anymore because he was only 57 or 56 or 58. And he came up with his wife to their cabin. This was a few years back.
Yeah.
And long story short, he essentially collapsed. Like almost immediately.
Really?
She had to get him down to the hospital in Alamogordo and he died there just 3 days later. Tragic.
Wow.
And when she was telling me about it, of course I wasn't up at the time because of course I lived in El Paso tending to my mother. This was not the season. They were essentially living at their place year round, but still going to El Paso for a good length of time to tend to her mother. And at any rate, and when you're not acclimated to the altitude, but the way she described what happened to him, I mean, but it was not really sure why, because he didn't have a heart attack or anything. But what she was describing made me wonder, was he getting altitude sickness? He could have.
Could have.
So it's nothing to joke around about. I have a cousin who tragically, sadly, I mean, she'd been up, in fact, it was her parents who owned the cabin, right in Cloudcroft Village that we would come to when I was growing up. Anyway, she was up to visit other cousins at a different, they were living up here year-round at a different home, but up there in Cloudcroft Village. Well, their cabin was a little bit outside of the village, but anyway, long story short, she came up and she was visiting and she didn't let herself acclimate to the altitude.
Mm-hmm.
Didn't think she needed it, you know, used to. This had been coming to Cloudcroft all her life. And she went jogging. She liked to stay in shape, and she went jogging. And like on the second day she was up.
Yeah.
And the next morning, over breakfast, she had a stroke, a massive stroke.
Wow.
And she was in her 50s. And you know, it really affected her badly. I mean, it's just, I've heard of, and that's just people I know, and I'm sure there's plenty of other examples. It's a real thing, so take it easy. As easy as you need to.
Yeah.
After what happened to my cousin, when I started coming up to I had our cabin, and who I'd already passed when this happened. to Margie. At any rate, I started thinking, well, when I come up, I'm not going to hike. I'm not going to do anything for the first 2 or 3 days.
Yeah.
I'm just going to let my breathing get used to it.
Yeah, and I got up here and I just wanted to go.
Yeah.
And I did that quarter mile and I came back going, I can't breathe.
Yeah, that's totally
This isn't normal.
Totally understandable.
Yeah. And that was just a little circle trail. But
you don't smack trees either.
That's us, huh?
Did you see? Oh yeah, those are prints of something, but not. Oh yeah, somebody's been walking around. See,
it could
there and there, but that's not forest people prints.
No, that's.
Where I have found prints up here on this area is that other road that you can drive.
Oh, down?
Yeah, I found them not often. But when I have, of course, I didn't tell anyone at that time.
Yeah.
My mother was still alive, and I'd take pictures and show her. And because, you know, she was too frail to get out of the truck and come look at it, you know, but the only reason I did it publicly is I'm not taking it to the grave.
Yeah.
And the older you get, I never did care really what people thought of me, as long as what they're
That's
thinking
true.
is true. I mean, if they think, oh, that's the woman who murdered so-and-so and sliced up and hacked up. So, you know, if somebody said that, yeah, I would care, because that's not true. But if people want to think, gosh, has she gone off a rocker thinking there's really a Bigfoot? I don't care if they think that. You know, they can think I'm eccentric or...
Do you know anybody else up here who has had a sighting?
Who has seen one?
Yeah.
All I know is what I saw online, and then I met him outside of a parking lot down in Alamogordo. When I saw him, I reckoned, Jesus.
Oh, okay,
him.
him.
I was down in Alamogordo, and I see this guy coming out of his vehicle, and I'm thinking, that looks like the guy who does... And I thought, that is the guy. So I thought, do it, you know, and this was just a few months ago. I guess this was like maybe January or February of this year. Maybe January, February of this year, maybe December of last year. And so I went up to him and I said, excuse me, I know this will seem like a strange question, but are you the man who has a Bigfoot channel? He says, yes, ma'am. And I said, well, and so I started asking him, I said, would you mind talking? He didn't mind talking about it at all. Mm-hmm. And
I've wanted to reach out.
He told me that the forest, had I gone to the Forest Service, like what Mother wanted me to do, that they'd know about it. He has a relative who works for the Forest Service, and he said you know, they get people who come in and say,
then tell them, report it,
and
well,
report it. And he said he's seen them himself, and he was very nice in person. I don't know of anyone who has seen one besides Jesus, he said. I don't know anybody else who has seen one, but I do know there's a young couple who said that they have seen, and they live, well, they don't live there, but they have their parents' cabin is there. Their parents' cabin is in the same area as mine. And they said they have seen signs that they think
something.
It's Bigfoot, that they've seen that. And then there's somebody else up here. He didn't say where he lives, but he, you know, if he's in Cloudcroft or outside of it. But he said he hears them behind his place.
There's 7 sightings there in Mescaleto.
Right,
and right at that campsite I'm at, there was howls.
Oh, you heard howling?
But there's a report of howls.